If you're a cheater, more than likely you are not a trustworthy person with anything going on in your life because you're constantly in a web of lies.
Mm-hmm.
And those web of lies are trying to protect what you're doing so it doesn't get out to other people.
Being wise, paying attention, and doing things intentionally that make you have a healthy marriage.
Right.
And even if there's something that upsets you, having a good, healthy way of communicating that, and when both of you are all in on that, you'll do that in a nice and healthy and corrective, protective type of way, because you're providing them information that they don't have. And if they care, then they'll incorporate that and also be working for something better, always doing things better.
Right. But, there are people that are really good manipulators, and there are people out there that will, come home every day and act like they're happy and have this wonderful life with their spouse, and then all of a sudden, bam, I don't want to be with you anymore because I've been having this relationship over here for last year, and da-da-da-da-da. That has to be heartbreaking to that other person.
If I'm having a serious conversation with her, it is going to be much more subdued. I will actually speak probably softer, slower, more intentionally, and she will know that that's very serious.
Sometimes you
Figure
can
out
come
what it
across
is.
something new that helps you reconfigure the way that you're living almost instantly in a more comprehensive and fuller way. But more common is the traumatic response, which is when the presuppositions of your world are shifted dramatically and you fall into the surrounding chaos, then it's so hard on you that it actually does you psychophysiological damage. If someone goes after you at the good person level of analysis and they just demolish you, in the course of, say, a 3-year relationship, hacking away at the idea that you have any moral worth whatsoever.
God, we see this over and over.
This is what happens when you're abused. Then that's going to knock you into pieces at a very complex and high level of abstraction. So that can undermine your entire worldview.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sucks when this happens. When people come to us like this, one of the first things that I have to do is start building them back up from that, and telling them that they have not just my permission, but they must give themselves their own permission for that to be okay and for them to let that go and get their self-worth back.
If the person instead helps you retool the little behaviors and the little microstructures that make you up, and if you're willing to participate in that, and if you're open to corrective feedback from the world, then you can continually adjust yourself at a small level, and then that makes the things in the hierarchy a little higher, a little healthier, and then that makes the aggregation of those things a little higher.
So I will say I had someone that worked for me, and he was cheating on his wife, and she actually worked for us. It's not for us, but she worked in the same hotel as us. And I didn't know. I was oblivious to it. I didn't know there was something going on. And he was having a relationship with another person that worked for us. And I noticed his wife was losing all this weight, and she was getting really, really sick looking. And I could tell something wasn't right. And then someone had told me she passed out upstairs, and they were just really concerned about her. And
Did she know about the cheating?
I think she knew something was going on. So then
It's hard to not know subconsciously.
Yeah.
You just may be doubting it, but there's something off and it starts to affect you.
Well, so then he ended up getting a promotion, and they ended up moving to Florida because he got this promotion and he was going to be a chef and blah, blah, blah. And she went with him, of course. And of course, that relationship had fizzled, the one that he was having. But he had one out there.
Yep.
He had that going on.
Usually, once a cheater, always a cheater.
Right. They end up getting a divorce. And I see pictures of her now. She's with somebody now, and she is so happy, and she is so whole again.
Yep.
And now I'm just so happy for her. I'm just like, oh my gosh, thank God you're with somebody who you can tell loves her, and they're just having a good time and a good life, and she's healthy versus what she was those few years. She was almost looking anorexic over it, and it's just terrible to see that. And he didn't care. He didn't care what he was doing to her. He didn't care he was destroying her
Yep.
on the inside. And
Not good.
no, and it was very toxic. But you know how he ended up getting caught? He's dating a girl who was married to a cop.
The cop found out.
Cop found out and called him up and then sent stuff, I think, to her. But yeah,
Wow.
that's how he got caught.
Wow. Crazy.
Yep.
hierarchy a little healthier and a little more complete, then you can do this bit by bit retooling without ever having to suffer the demolition of huge chunks of your personality. So let's go back to the relationship where there's a betrayal. It's like virtually every time someone gets flipped upside down because of a betrayal in a relationship, after the betrayal happens, they say to themselves, there were all these signs I didn't pay attention to.
I have had a friend that I had to not be friends with anymore that exactly applies to. Once you find this one thing, then you go back and look, oh, you know what? There were all of these signs.
Well, I think if you're a cheater, more than likely you are not a trustworthy person with anything going on in your life because you're constantly in a web of lies. And those web of lies are trying to protect what you're doing so it doesn't get out to other people.
Well, and a lot of it is you're lying to yourself and justifying it, and you're living this totally skewed existence in life, and it just tears you up. It's not a way to live.
No.
You're not going to grow to your fullest potential. You're not going to get anywhere spiritually, intellectually, metaphysically, emotionally. It is a toxic to yourself to do that.
Oh, yeah.
So, and maybe the first sign is your partner starts to flirt a bit more when you go out on a social occasion. And not a lot more, just a bit more. And you decide, because maybe you're timid, that's okay. You're not going to do anything about it. But it's interesting that it happens. It grabs your attention, and it means something. But what you decide is, it's not worth paying attention to. And so maybe the next 8 times that you go out, the same thing happens, but it happens at a somewhat accelerated rate.
It's interesting just thinking about, I see all of this. I see it in other people. I see it all the time. But thank God I never see that in my marriage.
No.
These aren't even issues that I have, or yours.
Yeah.
And then maybe the person starts to go out without you. And so on. There's this progression towards the end state of betrayal. And every time you get a little hint, the world tells you that something's going on.
Yep.
You put it aside and you fail to take it into account.
Yep.
Right.
Well, you're foregoing your opportunity to adjust the relationship at micro stages.
Yep.
Because maybe what you should have done the first time that happened is you should have gone home with your partner and said, what the hell's going on? Like, this is what was happening.
I don't know you even have to say what the going on. You don't have to take it that sternly, but you have to have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
And do a lot of listening to what they say and look at it in a very wise way to see what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Here's how you should have behaved. And of course, that's going to be a fight. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Not necessarily. You can have that. In fact, the more we may yell or whatever, it's actually, I'm probably less emotionally serious, or I'm taking it serious. If I'm having a serious conversation with her, it is going to be much more subdued. I will actually speak probably softer, slower, more intentionally, and she will know that that's very serious.
Right.
As opposed to if I'm just getting aggravated, upset, or frustrated, I might express some aggravation, frustration, or annoyance at things and not want to deal with it, or I certainly have those type of things, but those are really not particularly consequential or meaningful interactions that we'll have. Not that big of a deal. Something along these lines of, hey, you're not making me feel comfortable and there's something that's bothering me. I have very little tolerance for that, and I will usually, when that happens, remove ourselves from the situation. We will have the conversation probably somewhat quickly.
Right.
Of that. Thankfully, it doesn't happen. Earlier in our marriage, there were more of those type of conversations about certain things that we need to pay attention to, and she would say certain things that I needed to pay attention to and learn from, and I would say things that she needed to pay attention to and learn from. And now those things just don't come up because we already know those things. We're past that. But might be a micro fight. Discussions and even heated or whatever, yeah, you can refer to that as a fight, but it's not really a fight.
Right.
It's a process that you're going through of working through an issue and getting somewhere so that you can both go and get the hell past it.
But it might be a micro fight instead of a the relationship is over fight. And in order to keep a relationship healthy, it needs to be retooled at micro levels constantly.
Correct.
And the same is the case with your own character.
Correct.
When you encounter something that's unexpected, especially if it's small enough to handle, you need to extract the information from it, rebuild the world, and rebuild yourself. And then maybe if you continue doing that, every time you get evidence of an anomaly or an error, or every time the world manifests some meaning to you, then you won't have to fall apart, because the structure that constitutes you is going to remain viable and healthy from the bottom up. And if you don't do that, then those errors are going to accumulate, and when they finally do manifest themselves as unavoidable, like when your partner says, I don't want to be with you anymore, or I've been with someone else for the last year, there's no ignoring that.
There is no ignoring that.
No.
Then the whole thing comes crashing down. You're no longer in a
I feel
relationship.
so bad
You're
for
no longer in
people that have to go through that. How heartbreaking is that?
It sucks, but I don't know that it would necessarily be that difficult. It would, to me, it would be a relief. It would be, oh, okay. I probably would very quickly assimilate and understand, oh, that's the situation that we've been in. Okay. And my decision would be immediately made.
Right. But, you know, there are people that are really good manipulators, and there are people out there that will, like, come home every day and act like they're happy and have this wonderful life with their spouse, and then all of a sudden, bam, I don't want to be with you anymore because I've been having this relationship over here for last year, and da-da-da-da-da. That has to be heartbreaking to that other person. I mean, I would be devastated. I'd be angry.
To me, I think it would be oh, this wasn't what I thought. Oh, okay. I'll go get what it is that I thought with someone else.
Yeah.
Probably won't take me very long. And at this point in my life, I'm maximum equipped to do that. I'm exactly certain in who I am. Got skill sets and abilities.
You are a unique individual.
I am a very unique individual.
To be able to do that. A lot of people wouldn't be able to do that.
Would I be upset or whatever? But I would give myself some grieving period, but I would just, I'm sure I would figure out a solution or way out of it. I'd probably get a lot of sleep for a while. Y'all wouldn't see me at work for some time, and you would see any amount of work that I would be willing to do go down dramatically for some period of time.
Well, yeah, because there's just no way that you can be in a marriage and then all of a sudden, like, be okay.
I would probably be out for a month or two.
I mean, I think that is definitely acceptable. I mean, it's devastating for people to go through that.
Yeah.
Especially when you meet someone and you're like, oh, this is the one.
Although,
you know,
it could be just, I might understand that. I would probably get a really, really excellent, great night's sleep and then wake up again and pretty much be refreshed. I think I would refresh myself with deep breaths and washing it away with some sleep, like for a night or two.
Yeah.
And then I would take a restructuring week and determine what I would do. And what I would do, I don't know.
I'd take a vacation.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going on vacation.
Yeah. That'd be a good thing to do.
Yeah.
I might do more of a staycation, or I don't know. I might move and work and go. I mean, it would definitely not tie me down. Most of what I'm tied down for is because of the dogs and the marriage. Especially because of Worthy, would we keep this place or get something similar or something with some land? I don't know. I would probably move farther away and probably move the other side of your house where it's cheaper. Have Worthy out there, but then you can still make the podcast. If it wasn't for you having to make the podcast and having a crew, I would probably do this from all over the world, really.
Well, you don't have to worry about any of that.
Good.
I know, and I don't either.
I don't think so. Yeah. The thing of
the what ifs don't really
the losing
exist.
her would be a tragic accident, or
tragic accident. It sounds like a murder.
No, not a murder. I mean, like a car wreck or something where she gets like, or she has a heart attack or gets cancer or something, and some health issue. Like she would pass away. It's not.
Yeah, Summer's like super healthy and takes good care of herself. So
She does.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, she says she wants to pass away before I do. She doesn't want to be older than like 80 or something like that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what am I going to do for the next 60 years after that?
She thinks that, but she got to 80 and she's still like getting around really great.
I think
and all
she's
this
going to
stuff.
be perfectly good when she's
Yeah.
in her 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm planning on both of us living quite a bit longer than that.
But I will say this, I get where she's coming from. I've told Daniel, like, I'd rather me die before he dies.
But then I look at Worthy having cancer. He's got everything going for him now.
Yeah.
But how the hell was he treated when he was earlier? He's got 4 metal balls in him made of God knows what that we just
Right.
found out about. Because when he was shot with BBs by some walking piece of...
You can say it. Dog.
Yeah, okay. No, they're worse than dog.
Pretty bad human being.
Yeah. All right, well, let's keep watching this.
Good relationship, and then all the other things become questionable. So, meaning manifests itself so that you can retool being itself on a continual basis while simultaneously minimizing the risk of total collapse. And morality then becomes the act of paying sufficient attention and reacting sufficiently so that that corrective process occurs. Now,
I like to describe that as being wise, paying attention, and doing things intentionally that make you have a healthy marriage.
Right.
And even if there's something that upsets you, having a good, healthy way of communicating that, and when both of you are all in on that, you'll do that in a nice and healthy and corrective, protective type of way, because you're providing them information that they don't have. And if they care, then they'll incorporate that and also be working for something better, always doing things better.
Yeah.
so you're inside one of these. You're going from point A to point B. And as you do that, things you want to have happen, and things you don't want to have happen, and things you don't understand happen. And let's say that you investigate the things that you don't want to have happen, and you investigate the things that you didn't expect. And you do that as soon as they come up. So then what happens? Well, partly what happens is you're going to change your perceptions a bit, and you're going to change your actions a bit, and what that'll culminate in over time is that this whole structure will change. So instead of going from point A to point B, maybe you start shifting so that you're going from point A to point C. Because as you're gathering information, as a consequence of the inadequacies of the way you're looking at the world, not only are you improving your ability to perceive and to act, but you're also gathering information that helps shift your perspective to a better point B. Because you might say, well, where are you going and why? And the answer to that is, well, you have a plan. You're going to get your degree. I don't know what your long-term plan is. But there's no...
So on these planning things, one of the best strategies for doing that is a 3-step process called the escape arrival framework. And you start with taking an honest assessment. And even if it's just, you just ask yourself these questions, just go through this process. It's actually very, very simple. Where are you now? Then step 2, where is it that you want to be? And then step 3, then what do we need to do in order to get from where you are now to where it is that you want to be? Escape from where you are, arrive to where it is that you want to be.
Right.
No reason to assume that your long-term plan is correct, even though there's no reason to assume that you can do without one. So you're in this weird situation where you have to live within a bounded space, and the bounded space is going to produce errors, and it's also going to be wrong. But at the same time, if you use the bounded space, then you can transform it continually across time, even what it's aimed at, and you can minimize the probability of precipitous collapse.
So, small changes over time that do not destroy your fundamental perception and reality of yourself are better.
Right.
So, what is that? It's communication. More communication is better. And in that, it's also better for you to watch more of our episodes.
Yes.
So, like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you in the next episode. This is the Lawyer Dana Show.
Bye.